The water was rising, but nobody was running. She stood in the marketplace watching people go about their day, buying fish and fabric and fruit, while the ocean crept higher up the stone streets. And the strangest part wasn't that the city was flooding. The strangest part was that she knew exactly how long they had left. 3 days, then everything would be underwater. And she'd seen it happen before. Feel the salt air on your skin. Thick, heavy, the kind that makes everything feel damp even when it's not raining. You're standing on a street made of smooth stones, worn down by thousands of years of footsteps and water. All around you, buildings rise tall and elegant, made of white marble that catches the sunlight and glows like pearl. Canals run between the streets, filled with clear blue water that connects every part of the city. Boats drift past, carrying goods and people, their sails painted in bright colors, and everywhere, the sound of water, lapping against stone, flowing through channels, fountains in every plaza, their music constant and soothing. This is a city built with water, built by water, a city that lives in harmony with the ocean, until the day the ocean decides it wants the city back. Her name is Marina Chesftri, lives in Miami, works as a marine biologist, spends her days studying ocean ecosystems, coral reefs, and the effects of rising sea levels on coastal cities. But for the past 5 years, she's been having dreams about a city that doesn't exist, at least not anymore. A city of white stone and blue canals, a city where buildings rise from the water like they grew there naturally, a city more beautiful than anything she's seen in the modern world. In the dreams, she's not visiting, she's living there. She has a home, a family, a job. She works with water systems, managing the flow through the city's canals, making sure everything stays balanced, and she's good at it. She understands water the way most people understand language, knows how it moves, knows what it needs, knows when something is wrong. But in every dream, there's a shadow, a knowing, a countdown. Because the city is dying, the ocean is rising. Not slowly like it does now with climate change, quickly, dramatically, like something deep beneath the earth shifted, like the land itself decided to sink. Marina has tried to dismiss the dreams, told herself they're just her subconscious processing her work, her fears about sea level rise, her concerns about coastal cities. But the dreams are too specific, too detailed, too consistent. She knows the layout of this city, could draw a map of it from memory, knows which districts are for living, which are for trade, which are for temples, knows the names of streets she's never walked on, knows the taste of foods she's never eaten, knows the feeling of fabrics she's never touched. And 6 months ago, something happened that changed everything. She was diving off the coast of Greece, just a regular research expedition, studying underwater ecosystems, and she saw something. Ruins, ancient ruins, columns and walls and what looked like a street, all covered in coral and silt. Her team was excited. Archaeological sites underwater aren't uncommon in the Mediterranean. Ancient civilizations built near coasts. When sea levels rose, some got swallowed by the ocean. But Marina knew these ruins, recognized them, not from any textbook or documentary, from her dreams. This was it. This was the city, or what was left of it. She swam through the ruins with her heart pounding, following streets her feet had walked on in another life, passing buildings where she'd lived and worked and loved. All underwater now, all silent and still and covered in sea life. She found the marketplace, the central plaza, the fountain that used to sing with fresh water. All of it there, all of it real, all of it exactly where she knew it would be. Her team couldn't understand her reaction, why she was crying underwater, why she surfaced shaking, why she refused to go back down that day. How could she explain, how could she tell them she'd lived here, that she remembered this place not as ruins but as a thriving city, that she'd walked these streets and knew these buildings and died here when the water came? That's when she knew. The dreams weren't fantasies, they were memories, real memories of a real place. A city that existed thousands of years ago. A city that sank, a city she'd called home. And she needed to understand, needed to remember fully, needed to know why these memories were surfacing now, why her soul was pulling her back to a city that drowned millennia ago. So she found a regression practitioner, someone who could take her deeper than dreams, someone who could help her access the full memory, the full story, the full truth about the forgotten city beneath the sea. The shift is like diving underwater, a gentle descent, One moment Marina is in the chair, aware of the room around her. The next moment, she's standing on a sun-warmed street, the smell of salt and fish and flowers filling her nostrils. She looks down. Her body is younger, leaner, tanned dark from constant sun. She's wearing a simple dress, light blue fabric that moves with the breeze. Her feet are bare. Everyone goes barefoot here. The streets are smooth enough, the water warm enough. Shoes would only get ruined. Her name here is Thalassa. She's 28 years old, and she's a waterkeeper. One of the people responsible for maintaining the city's complex water systems, the canals, the aqueducts, the fountains, the drainage, everything that keeps this city functioning. It's not an easy job. It requires understanding flow rates and pressure and tides. Requires knowing how to read the ocean, how to predict when water will rise and fall, how to keep the balance between the fresh water coming from the mountains and the salt water from the sea. Thalassa is walking to work through the morning market, past vendors selling fish caught that morning, past fruit stands displaying oranges and figs and dates, past cloth merchants with fabrics dyed in colors that won't exist again for thousands of years, blues made from seashells, purples from rare mollusks, reds from minerals found only in certain caves. The city is called Poseidon, though Marina, watching through Thalassa's eyes, doesn't know if she's pronouncing it right. The name exists in her awareness more as a feeling than a sound. This is the city of water, the jewel of the coast, the place where humans learned to live with the sea instead of fighting it. The architecture is stunning. Buildings rise 3, 4, sometimes 5 stories high, made of white limestone and marble, decorated with colored tiles that shimmer in the sunlight. Every building has water features, fountains in courtyards, pools on rooftops, streams flowing through gardens, and the canals, the famous canals that make this city unique. They run everywhere. Main channels wide enough for cargo boats, smaller channels for personal boats, tiny streams connecting houses to the main flow. The entire city is a living water system, more complex than anything humans will build for thousands of years. Thalassa reaches her workstation, a building near the main canal. Inside, there are maps, not on paper, on clay tablets and stone walls, detailed diagrams of every water channel in the city, every flow point, every pressure valve, every gate and lock and control mechanism. Her supervisor is there, an older man named Kairos. He's been a waterkeeper for 40 years, knows the system better than anyone. But lately, he's been worried. Thalassa can see it in his face. The readings are off again, Kairos says, without greeting. He points to a measurement device, a complex system of floats and weights that track water levels in the main canal. The tide is running higher than it should, and it's not following the lunar cycle like it's supposed to. Thalassa checks the device. He's right. The water is 6 inches higher than it should be at this time of day, and the pattern is wrong. Tides are predictable. They follow the moon, follow patterns that repeat every month, every year. But this is different. How long has it been like this? She asks. 3 weeks. Getting worse each day. And it's not just here. Reports from all the coastal gates say the same thing. The sea is rising. Thalassa feels a chill despite the warm sun. Rising, how fast? Kairos shakes his head. Faster than it should. If it continues at this rate, the lower districts will flood within a month. The main city within 3 months. This can't be happening. Poseidon has existed for over 2,000 years. Through storms, through tsunamis, through everything the ocean has thrown at it. The city's water systems were designed to handle anything, built by the best engineers, maintained by generations of waterkeepers. But as Thalassa looks at the measurements, at the data carved into clay tablets from the past 3 weeks, she sees it, the pattern, the acceleration. This isn't a temporary rise. This is geological. Something deep beneath the ocean floor is shifting, pushing water up, raising sea levels, not just here but everywhere along the coast. We need to tell the council, Thalassa says. Kairos nods grimly. I've tried. They don't want to hear it. Don't want to cause panic. Don't want to believe that Poseidon could be in danger. But it is in danger. Thalassa knows this with a certainty that comes from somewhere deeper than logic. This city, this beautiful, impossible city that humans built in harmony with water, is about to be reclaimed by the ocean. The scene shifts. Weeks pass. The water keeps rising. Slowly at first, then faster. The lower districts flood. People are relocated to higher ground, to the upper city, to the hills behind the coast. But there's not enough space. Paseda was built for 50,000 people. Now they're trying to fit everyone into the upper districts that were designed for maybe 10,000. It's crowded, tense, frightened. The council finally takes it seriously. They call a meeting. All the water keepers, all the engineers, all the wise ones who might have solutions. Thalassa is there, standing in the great hall, walls covered in mosaics showing the city's history. The founding 2,000 years ago, the expansion, the golden age, the prosperity, all of it about to end. The head counselor speaks. We need options. Can we build higher walls, dig deeper drainage, pump the water out faster? The chief engineer answers. We've tried everything. The walls would have to be 50 feet high to hold back the current rate of rise. And it's not just about keeping water out. The ground itself is sinking. The whole coastal shelf is dropping. We can't fight geology. Silence fills the hall, heavy, suffocating. Then someone asks the question everyone is thinking. Should we evacuate? Leave the city? The counselor looks pained. And go where? This is our home, our history, our entire civilization is built here. The libraries, the temples, the knowledge we've accumulated over millennia. We can't just abandon it. But Thalassa knows they will have to. Can see it in the numbers, in the patterns, in the way water doesn't lie. The ocean wants this land back. And the ocean always wins eventually. Over the following months, the situation worsens. The sea rises faster. Water floods the main city. The beautiful marble buildings stand in 3 feet of water, then 5 feet, then 10. People move what they can, load boats with possessions, with treasures, with sacred objects from temples. But there's too much. 2,000 years of civilization, of art and books and knowledge. Most of it will have to stay, will have to be left to the ocean. Thalassa works around the clock, trying to manage the water flow, trying to keep some semblance of system functioning, trying to buy time for people to evacuate. But it's futile. The city is drowning. Everyone can see it. She has a family, a husband named Darius, 2 children, a son, 7 years old, a daughter, 5. They live in the upper city now, in a small room that's overcrowded with 3 other families, all of them displaced, all of them waiting to see what happens. One night, Thalassa comes home exhausted, wet. She's been in the water all day, trying to open drainage gates, trying to redirect flow, trying to do something, anything to slow the inevitable. Darius looks at her with worry. You're going to get sick. You need to rest. I can't rest. The whole southern district flooded today. We lost 12 more buildings. The temple of Nepis is underwater. 2,000 years old and it's gone. It's not your fault, Darius says gently. You can't stop the ocean. I know, but I have to try. I have to do something. Her son comes over, climbs into her lap even though he's getting too big for it. Mama, are we going to be okay? Thalassa hugs him tight. Yes, baby, we're going to be okay. We're going to leave the city, go inland, find a new place to live. But I don't want to leave. This is our home. I know, I don't want to leave either. But sometimes we have to let go of places we love. Sometimes the earth changes and we have to change with it. She says this to comfort him, but she's also saying it to herself, trying to accept what's coming, trying to prepare for the loss. The final evacuation is announced. The council declares that everyone must leave within 1 week. The city is no longer safe. The water is too high. The structures are becoming unstable. Another big surge could bring buildings down, could kill people. Boats arrive from neighboring cities, from inland settlements. Everyone coming to help, to transport people, to save what they can of Paseda's knowledge and culture. Thalassa helps coordinate, uses her knowledge of the water systems to plan the safest routes, to identify which streets are still passable, which buildings are most at risk of collapse. She works for 6 days straight, barely sleeps, barely eats, just works. Because this is her city, her responsibility, her calling. On the 7th day, the final evacuation begins. Boats fill the main canals. People load their most precious possessions, say goodbye to homes they've lived in for generations. Thalassa stands at the central plaza. The fountain that once sang with fresh water is now submerged in seawater. The market where she walked every morning is under 5 feet of murky green water. The beautiful white buildings are stained with salt and algae. Kairos finds her there. He's old now, too old to relocate, too tired to start over. You should go, he says. Your family needs you. I will, soon. I just need a moment. to say goodbye. Kairos nods, understands. I'm staying. Someone should stay. Someone should witness. Someone should be here when the city finally goes under. You can't stay. It's not safe. I'm 83 years old. Nowhere is safe at my age. But I've given my whole life to this city, to these waters. I want to be here at the end. Want to go down with it. Return to the ocean with Paseda. Thalassa wants to argue, but she can't, because she understands. Part of her wants to stay too, wants to be here, wants to witness, wants to honor this place that gave her purpose and meaning and identity. But she has children, responsibilities, a future to build even though the past is drowning. She hugs Kairos. Thank you for everything you taught me, for being the keeper you were, and you'll carry it forward. The knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding of water. It won't die with the city. It will live in you, in others like you. And someday, humans will build cities with water again. They'll have to learn it all over again. But the possibility exists because we existed, because Paseda existed. Thalassa leaves him there, standing in the flooded plaza, an old man saying goodbye to his city, to his life's work, to everything he knew. She finds her family. They board one of the last boats, along with hundreds of others, all of them looking back as the boat pulls away, looking at the white city slowly being swallowed by blue water. The boat takes them inland, to the mountains, to settlements that will take them in, to a new life that none of them chose but all of them must accept. But 3 days later, Thalassa hears the news. There was a surge, a massive wave, some kind of underwater earthquake that sent water crashing into what was left of the city. Buildings collapsed. The remaining structures were swept away, and the old water keeper Kairos went with them. Paseda is gone, completely underwater, buried beneath waves and silt and time. Everything they built, everything they knew, everything they were. Gone. Thalassa sits in a refugee camp in the mountains. Thousands of people, all displaced, all grieving, all trying to figure out what comes next. She looks out at the mountains, at the land that will never flood, land that's safe, stable, permanent, and she understands something that breaks her heart and heals it at the same time. Nothing is permanent, not cities, not civilizations, not even the land beneath our feet. Everything changes, everything shifts, everything eventually returns to the elements it came from. Paseda was beautiful, advanced, a miracle of engineering and art and human cooperation with nature, but it was always temporary, always borrowed, always on loan from the ocean that let them build there for 2,000 years before deciding to take it back. And that's not tragedy, that's just truth. That's the nature of existence. Everything arises, everything passes, everything returns to source. Her daughter climbs into her lap. Mama, why are you crying? I'm sad about the city, about everything we lost. But we still have each other. We still have us. Thalassa hugs her tight. Yes, we do. And that's what matters. The people, the love, the connections. Those don't drown. Those don't sink. Those we carry with us wherever we go. And she realizes something profound. The real treasure of Paseda wasn't the buildings or the art or the complex water systems. It was the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding that humans developed over 2,000 years of living with water, and that knowledge doesn't live in stone, it lives in people, in minds, in souls. And as long as people survive, the knowledge survives. Changed, maybe. Adapted, but alive. She looks at her children. They'll never remember Paseda the way she does. For them, it will be stories, history, a place their parents talk about, but they'll carry something from it, in their genes, in their culture, in the way they think about water and cities, and the relationship between humans and nature. And maybe, thousands of years from now, their descendants will build cities with water again, will create something beautiful and complex and harmonious, will remember, even if they don't know they're remembering, the lessons of Paseda. That you can live with nature instead of against it, that you can create beauty and function together, that water isn't an enemy to control but a partner to dance with. And when those future cities face their own challenges, their own changes, their own endings, hopefully the people there will remember this too, that nothing is permanent, that everything changes, that loss is part of life, and that the real treasures, the ones that matter, are the ones we carry inside ourselves, the knowledge, the wisdom, the love, the connections that can't be drowned or buried or destroyed. Thalassa closes her eyes, makes a promise, to Kairos, to Poseida, to the ocean that gave and took back. I'll remember. I'll carry the knowledge forward. I'll teach my children, and someday, in another life, another time, I'll come back to water. I'll work with it again. I'll honor what we learned. I'll make sure it wasn't all for nothing. And somewhere deep in her soul, she knows she will. This isn't her last life, isn't her last time working with water. She'll be back. In different forms. Different times. Maybe as a marine biologist studying the ocean. Maybe as someone trying to help coastal cities prepare for rising seas. Maybe as someone who remembers, in dreams and memories, a beautiful white city that once stood where now there's only water. She'll be back, because waterkeepers always come back. The work is never done. The ocean is always teaching, and some souls are called to listen, to learn, to serve, lifetime after lifetime, until they understand it fully, until they become it completely, until they are water themselves, flowing, changing, eternal. Marina opens her eyes. The practitioner's office, present day, but she's trembling, crying, her whole body shaking with the memory, with the loss, with the recognition. I was there, she whispers. I lived in that city. I was a waterkeeper. I watched it drown. I had to leave everything. Everyone, Kairos, the city, my whole world. It all went underwater. The practitioner sits quietly, lets her process, lets her grieve, because this isn't just remembering. This is reliving. The emotions are fresh, real, as if it happened yesterday, instead of thousands of years ago. As Marina talks, things click into place. Her career choice, marine biology, not random. Her soul finding its way back to water, back to the work, back to understanding oceans and cities and the relationship between them. Her fascination with underwater ruins. She's been to dozens of archaeological sites, always drawn to them, always feeling something she couldn't name. Now she knows. She was looking for Poseida, looking for home, looking for proof that it was real, that it existed, that it mattered. The dreams make sense now. They weren't fantasies. They were memories. Her soul trying to process the trauma, the loss, the grief of watching her city sink, of losing everything she worked for, everything she loved, and finding those ruins off the coast of Greece. That wasn't coincidence. That was recognition. That was her soul saying yes, it was real. Yes, you were there. Yes, it's time to remember. Over the following weeks, Marina processes the regression, thinks about it constantly, feels it in her body. The memories aren't fading. If anything, they're getting clearer, more detailed, more real. She researches ancient coastal cities, looks for historical records of places that matched Poseida's description, and she finds hints, references in ancient texts to a great city of water that sank, stories passed down through generations, myths about advanced civilizations that were swallowed by the sea. Nothing conclusive, nothing that proves Poseida existed by that name, but enough to suggest that the memory is based on something real, some actual place, some actual civilization that built with water and was lost to water. She goes back to the dive site, this time prepared, this time knowing what she's looking for, and she finds more, street patterns that match her memories. A building that could have been the waterkeeper's station, a plaza that might have been the market. She takes measurements, photos, samples, not to prove anything to anyone else, but to honor, to document, to make sure that, even if Poseida is forgotten by history, some record of it exists, some acknowledgement that it was real, that the people there mattered, that what they built was important. Her work as a marine biologist takes on new meaning. She's not just studying rising sea levels academically, she's studying them personally, understanding them from the perspective of someone who watched a city drown, who knows what it feels like to lose everything to the ocean. And she uses that knowledge, that perspective, to help modern coastal cities prepare, to advocate for better planning, for understanding that the ocean is powerful and patient and will eventually reclaim any land it wants, that humans can build with nature or against it, but building against it always loses eventually. She starts writing articles, papers, eventually a book, about ancient water cities, about civilizations that understood how to live with the ocean, about the wisdom that was lost when those cities sank and how modern humans need to relearn those lessons. She doesn't claim to have past life memories. She presents it as historical research, as archaeological speculation, as studying what ancient texts and underwater ruins can teach us. But people who read her work feel something, recognize something, remember something. Your writing is different, colleagues tell her. It's like you were there, like you witnessed these places firsthand. Marina smiles but doesn't explain. How can she tell them she did witness it, that she lived it, that she died when Poseida drowned and came back in this life to continue the work? They'd think she was crazy, but she knows the truth. And that's enough. She connects with other people who have similar memories, who dream of sunken cities, who feel drawn to water in ways that go beyond normal interests, who feel like they're remembering something ancient, something lost, something important. And she realizes she's not alone. There are other water keepers, other souls who worked with water in past lives, who watched their cities sink, who carry the same grief, the same knowledge, the same calling to help modern humanity learn from the past. They form a loose network, share their experiences, support each other, work together on projects related to ocean conservation, coastal planning, sustainable water management, all from the perspective of souls who remember when humans knew how to do this better, who remember what was lost and are trying to help humanity rediscover it. One day, Marina is diving at the ruins again, swimming through the underwater streets, and she has a moment, a profound moment of peace. She's swimming through her past and her present simultaneously. She's Thalassa and Marina. She's the waterkeeper who lost her city and the marine biologist studying its remains. She's the grief and the healing. She's the past and the future. And she realizes something Kairos told her, that the knowledge doesn't die, that it lives in people, in souls, and as long as souls keep coming back, keep remembering, keep working with water, the wisdom of Poseida isn't lost. It's just sleeping, waiting, ready to wake up when humanity is ready to listen. She surfaces, floats on her back, looking up at the sky, and she sends a message to Kairos, to Poseida, to all the water keepers across time. I remember, I'm here, I'm doing the work. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for trusting me with this knowledge. Thank you for being part of my eternal journey. And somewhere in the ocean beneath her, in the ruins of a city that drowned millennia ago, in the stones that still hold memory, she feels a response, a confirmation, a blessing. Keep going, keep working, keep teaching. The ocean remembers, the water knows, and when humans are ready, the knowledge will rise again, like cities from the sea, like memory from forgetting, like wisdom from loss. Marina swims back to her boat, climbs aboard, pulls off her gear, and continues her work, studying, teaching, writing, sharing. One person, one life, one mission, to honor what was lost, to share what was learned, to help humanity remember how to live with water instead of fighting it. Because she's a waterkeeper, was a waterkeeper, will always be a waterkeeper, across lifetimes, across bodies, across civilizations that rise and fall. The work continues, the calling remains. The ocean never stops teaching those who listen, and she's listening, finally, fully, completely, to the whispers of water, the memories of stone, the wisdom that never died but just waited beneath the waves for someone to remember, for someone to dive deep enough, for someone to come home. If you've ever felt the ocean calling you in ways you can't explain, if underwater ruins make you cry without knowing why, if you dream of white cities and blue canals and a life that ended when the water rose, maybe you were there too. Maybe you're a keeper of ancient wisdom that the world needs now more than ever. Maybe you remember. Subscribe to continue this journey through memory and time.